Feeder fishing has experienced a massive boom in recent years, and that all comes down to the simplicity of everything surrounding it. The rigs are easy to put together, the preparation's minimal, and most importantly of all, it catches you fish of all sizes. Now, if you've never given it a go, these kits here are exactly what you need to start with. They're the Shakespeare Challenge XT kits. We've got a method feeder kit and we've got a general feeder kit. Rod, reel, all the bits and pieces that you need to get going. So let's have a look what's inside. So the first kit we're going to look at is the feeder kit, which is more for the traditional type of feeder fishing with your cage feeders and your maggot feeders, which is fishing for a bit of everything. Not necessarily the biggest fish, but a mix of species. So first up is the rod. Now this is a little 10-footer, quite a slimline blank. It's a two-piece rod and then there's two tips that go with it. Now, there's one of them soft, which you'll end up catching small fish, your silverfish, your skimmers, your roach, your perch, and there's one that's got a little bit more grunt. So if you fish somewhere that's got a bit of underwater tow, or you're fishing for maybe slightly bigger fish, that's when that'll go in. The reel, first glance, that looks all right to me. Matches the rod, the colour scheme, the orange and the black, already spooled with lines, so that's a job that'll save you. And again, looking at the line, not sure what breaking strain it is because it doesn't state it, but that looks suitable to me for this style of fishing. And then we've got the bits and pieces box. So we've got two little plastic cage feeders. All we do with them is cram some ground bait in and then that's ready to roll and that's your feed. We've got the disgorger, which is essential. Every angler should have one of these. That'll help get the hook out of the fish nice and safely. We've got our little bits and pieces swivels. Now this is a handy little extra. I wouldn't expect to get this in a kit like this. One of them runs onto the line. It allows you to clip feeders on and off so you can change that and to break it down. And then the other one is basically quick change. You can change your hook length really quickly. Because in feeder fishing, those little things are important. Changing the size of your feeder, changing the length of your hook length, changing the size of your hook. All those things you probably have to do quite often. But you don't have to break the rig down. You just attach on and off really quickly. And the last thing is a packet hooks to nylon. Now I would say they are barbed hooks and a lot of fisheries don't allow them. So double check before you use them, and if they aren't allowed, you just have to pop along to your tackle shop and they'll have loads of choice. And the last thing that we get with it is the bag to put it away at the end, to put the rod away. All goes away, nice and safe at the end of your session. There's the kit. Let's put it together and see what it's made of. I'll tell you where we are first today. We're at Manor Farm Leisure near Evesham in Worcestershire. It's called Boundary Pool on Peg 36. This pool is full of everything. Everything from small roach, skimmers, F1s, carp, and this morning I fancy getting amongst the silverfish. The skimmers run up to £2, but there's loads 4 or 5 ounce, basically loads of bites. And this rig that I'm holding up in front of me is the perfect tonic to get them on. And it is the easiest rig in the world to put together. I'm going to show you how I've done it. First of all, we put a little feeder link onto there and it just runs up and down. So you run that onto your main line. You then clip your feeder onto the bottom. So again, you can change your feeder size if you need to. And you tie a quick chain swivel on the bottom, just tie that to the bottom, and then attach your hook link, slide the buffer bead over, and it's done. And that's ready to go. And then with this, you can change your hook length when you want. With this, you can change your feeder when you want, so you don't have to break it down. That, with a couple of dead maggots on the end and some ground bait crammed in there, is ready to chuck out and ready to roll. Fish on. So we've built up a better bait out there and we're in business. One thing I've noticed about this rod is the tips are quite sensitive. I've seen all the little knocks and things like that you want to see. And then when a fish has taken the bait, it's properly gone round. It's like a nice little F1. Big stock of these in here. Double dead maggot doing the business. Well, that rod feels really nice. It's the sort of thing that it's got a bit of forgiveness in it. With fish like this, he's a bit angry. Fish like that, if it's got too much poke, it's going to pull the hook out. But the softness in that, I think you'd be able to catch skimmers, roach, whatever it may be. So first impressions, pretty good to say the least. I'm going to get this in the net and let's get it back out there. We're in business, tip's gone round. You're getting a load of little indications. A lot of small fish in here. And it's quite nice to see those, it allows you to read the peg. I'll show you what this is. It's coming in nicely, nothing with too much power. Nice little F1, feisty one at that. Different sizes of F1s in here. This is one of the little stockies, but there are some real big ones in here that go up to like £4 or £5 and you have to double take on them. Nonetheless, a very welcome fish. Double dead maggot. It's probably about £1 or so. Let's have a little look at him. He's certainly what you might want to call a character fish. He's been around, battered a few times. But you know, that's coming nice and easy. This rod has definitely got a bit of finesse about it. And dare I say, if one of his bigger brothers or sisters turns up, we'd get it in. But I think for them bigger fish, you want a bit more muscle. So let's have a look at the method feeder kit and see what that can do. Had a lovely couple of hours on the traditional feeder kit, catching a bit of all sorts. Nothing too big though. But this lake behind us, Boundary Pool at Manor Farm Leisure, is absolutely stuffed with big F1s, and some of the carp go to £20. Absolute lumps. So to catch those fish, we need something with a little bit more steel. And that is where the method feeder kit comes in. So let's have a run through this one. So this rod is a 12-foot rod. There's a bit more beef through there, just for casting heavier feeders, bringing in bigger fish, just what you need. So that's a 3-piece. And again, that comes with a range of tips. There's 3 tips in there, and they'll start from soft, medium, up to something a little bit stiffer. And you just have to dictate what the conditions are like and the size of fish that you're catching, which you use. Onto the reel, same look as the one that we had on the other feeder kit. Again, pre-spooled, but this is a little bit bigger. Now the idea of that is we're going to be catching bigger fish, need a bit more cranking power to get them in, to get in control of the battle, and that reel will do that. Onto the bits and pieces. Again, disgorger, essential. Always make sure you have that. I know I'm banging on about it, but it's a really, really important kit that every angler needs to have. And then what we have is we have 2 method feeders. Now these have swivels in the end of them, but you can pop them out so that you can run it through and make it inline. A lot of commercial fisheries insist on using an inline feeder just for fish safety. So I'll show you how to set that up in a moment. Very simple. And then we have this little beauty. Now this is a mould, and what this does is it helps you load the feeder properly. Put a few micro pellets in there and your hook bait, plonk that on top, and it'll be loaded. Again, I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So simple. And then we have the hooks to nylon. They're 4 inches, but again, unfortunately, they are barbed and a lot of commercials won't allow them. So again, I can't stress strongly enough, check with fishery rules, but if they aren't suitable, go to your tackle shop, ask for a pack of 4-inch hook lengths for method feeder fishing, and they'll sort you out. And finally, just like the last one, carry case to put it all away at the end of the day. Now, as you can see, conditions remaining lovely. I've seen fish topping everywhere. Let's get this rigged up and see if we can get 1 or 2 of them lumps on the hook. We've had a lovely morning on the cage feeder, but as I said before, this lake has some big carp, some big F1s in it, and I want to get amongst them. And for me, the method feeder is the way forward for them. So I'm going to switch tackle and I'm going to come on to the 12-foot method feeder rod, which is part of the Challenge XT range. So it's really simple rig. That is the rig, and if you saw the other rig, which you obviously did, it's completely different. Get one of the method feeders, and I've taken the swivel out the end, and all that allows it to do is make it running, so I can run that onto the line. If you lose a fish or you break the main line, the feeder runs off and the fish ain't towing it around, so it's really fish safe, which is really important. So once that's run onto the main line, tie a little bead on below, which you'll get from any tackle shop, a couple of quid for a packet, and that's a 4-inch hook length. I've had to use some different hook lengths compared to the ones that were supplied because it's barbless only here. So, as I've said, check the rules before you use the other hooks that were supplied with it. So that's all it is basically. When a fish takes that, they feel the resistance of the feeder, and there's none of this with your bites. It's bang, it's on. Until you see a proper wrap round, don't even pick the rod up. You don't even need to strike. The fish has hooked itself. It's a really exciting way of fishing, and hopefully I'm going to show you just how exciting it is. Just like with the ground bait feeder earlier on the other rod, we've clipped up so we hit the same spot every time. Beefier rod, longer rod, so I'm chucking a little bit further this time because I've seen a few carp crashing in the middle beyond where I was catching those smaller fish earlier. So there's a bit more beef in that, so I'll be able to get it out with ease. And then also it's a bit heavier feeder. It's a 30-gram feeder straight off, but then once you've loaded it with your pellets, it probably ends up being 40 to 45 grams. The other thing you'll have noticed the feeder is completely different. Before we were pushing ground bait in through the ends, now this is a completely different proposition. And that's where this little contraption that we got with it comes into it. It's called a mould, and it helps you bait the feeder. So what we do is we place the mould into your pellets, put a sprinkling of pellets in, place your hook bait on top of those pellets, then completely cover the mould so it's overflowing. Grab your feeder, push it in really tight, give it a firm push, and out you come. Voila, that's ready to go. And the idea is it's one big mouthful. The fish will come in, hoover it up, your hook bait is buried amongst there, but this is all going to seep out and open up. The fish are going to take it, short hook length, feel the resistance, bang. Let's see if we can get that in and catch a fish. It didn't take long to get a bite on the method feeder rod. As you can see, it's got a bit more grunt in it. Big F1, what this venue's renowned for. It's giving me a right good battle, this is. Like I said, this rod's just got a bit more power just to bully it towards the net. As I said, you get on the feeder kit, you get bonus fishing, but this is more made for it. You feel like you've just got a bit more steel. When you hook these, it's probably pushing 3 pounds, this fish at first glance. It's not happy at all. Oh, come on, my mate. There we go. Turn it round. Oh, making a meal of that. And again. And we're in the net. Now there, the bigger fish that we were talking about. Let's have a little look. We'll unhook him. Proper chunky F1. Absolutely no problem on that. So you've seen the 2 rods today. We've seen the feeder rod and we've seen the method feeder rod. Consider what you're going to be doing next time you're out, whether you're going to be fishing for big F1s and carp like this or smaller fish like skimmers, roach and the odd bonus, and decide which kit is best for you when you go to the tackle shop.